Welcome back to episode 8 of my Cities Skylines 2 Let's Play series. For today, our city planner, Frank Abagnale, is requesting $10 million from our founder, James Smith. Frank has a two-phase waterfront revitalization project. Phase 1 is to create a cargo harbor to get a massive amount of goods in and out of our city. Phase 2 is to bring back and revitalize our old Navy piers. Those piers will have entertainment, residential, and commercial districts. Let's get started. Welcome back, guys, to Cities Skylines 2. The very first thing you're going to notice here is all of our cargo trucks are going to one place. It is the cargo train station. So the reason why we need a cargo harbor is to spread out the distribution of cargo in my city. So the very first thing we're going to look at is there is the cargo harbor on the transportation tab. You're going to see it is $490,000 and $67,000 to maintain. So now we need to plan out our cargo harbor area. You can see here, we want to use both sides of the harbor that are naturally there, but we have a lot of things in the way. So I jumped ahead and I got rid of our landfill and a few other of our trash services. What we need to do next is, again, we need to plan out our terraforming. And you're gonna see here, all right, there is our landfill. We are unable to connect our cargo harbor right now. So let's start the terraforming process. So mostly harbors in the United States, they terraform the land around the harbor build itself. So you can see here, terraforming wise, we're just trying to get a good measurement on where we can place it, where it is evenly in the river and in the inlet. So right there is, it's still not there because, well, it's not enough in the water. So it is a little finicky. So you can see here, I do start out and I have a problem connecting up the cargo harbor. So what I'll do next is add a little bit of an inlet road. So this is kind of like the cargo harbor's private road where trucks can get in and out without being on the arterial road traffic and clog everything up. All right, beautiful. That one-way road is going to save us a lot of traffic. So our one-way auxiliary road has created a perfect connection for our Cities Skylines 2 cargo harbor. All right, we have one harbor in place. Now we need to go back and terraform and create the other harbor across the way. So what I'm doing right now is I am doing some very eminent domain. This is not very realistic, but we are shaping the second cargo harbor area where you can kind of see that the pier is forming. So now that we have our pier in place, what I'm doing is I'm terraforming and flattening the land around it because, well, obviously in Cities Skylines 2, we cannot build on top of that. So here is our second cargo harbor. We're gonna try to line it up perfectly with the first cargo harbor we placed down. Again, it is a little finicky. You can see here, I almost did a 360. No, I'm about to do a 360 with the cargo harbor itself. But now you can see everything is perfectly lined up. And you can see here that we are not crossing the Cities Skylines 2 water paths. So now that we have that in place, we have both harbors in place and they are pretty, I would say they're pretty parallel. What we need to do next is I would like to start to do a little bit more terraforming. And the reason behind that is we want to add queue walls to our waterfront or our riverfront area. The reason behind that is, well, it looks amazing. Now, queue walls in Cities Skylines 2, do you know what those are? They're only roads. In Cities Skylines 2, queue walls are no longer walls. You have to use them as roads. It's kind of a bummer, but you know what? I'd rather be able to build queue walls than not have them at all. So there we go. We did a little bit of terraforming. Now let's go into those queue walls that I mentioned. So right now I'm using an alley. An alley is the smallest road in Cities Skylines 2. And what we're doing with the alley is we will create the queue wall around the alley itself. And as you can see here, it's not very hard to do if you have mods in Cities Skylines 2. That is right, I will repeat that. There are mods in Cities Skylines 2. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just keep moving that road along. Whoa. Okay, you can see that Cities Skylines 2 road connections are acting very, very weird, and I made a major mistake. Cities Skylines 2, what was that? Okay, so now that Cities Skylines 2 glitch or whatever, the road malfunction has been fixed, what I want to get into is the importance of queue walls. In this case, in Cities Skylines 2, we obviously don't have walls or any type of assets. So in this case, we're using the alleyway and we're upgrading it with a queue wall. So what that is instead of having a path or anything like that of some sort, we have to use the alleyway path as our source of the queue wall. So the reason why queue walls I think are important in Cities Skylines 2, or especially this cargo area, is it's going to create a very clean and a very nice look for our overall cargo harbor. So next, you're going to see here, we are slightly zoomed in on the cargo harbor itself. So the dead center of the cargo harbor is where the trucks will come in and out of the cargo harbor itself. So what we need to do is we need to get trucks to that cargo harbor, but make sure that the traffic won't go absolutely insane. So what I decided to do right here is I wanted to add a one-way road system. So there's our highway entrance. You can see slightly to the bottom left of the screen, or now the top left. But what I'm doing is I want to add a one-way system in to our cargo harbor and out of the cargo harbor, because we do not want trucks to be able to go two ways and just clog up and create a massive traffic jam. Everybody knows in Cities Skylines 2, traffic is atrocious. So this is one way of trying to alleviate that traffic, is just to honestly make a one-way road system. So now that we have that in place, we need to connect up our main arterial road. So I know that medium-sized road has ended, which I'm kind of okay with it, because I feel like along the queue walls and along, you know, just where that oil industry is and where the other cargo terminal, cargo harbor is, I think we'll be okay with the number of cars coming. And holy cow, you can see there, lots and lots and lots of traffic from the train cargo station, or the cargo train station, excuse me. Wow. Okay, so next is how do we get those queue walls? So you can see here, we're on the road tab and we click on the queue walls themselves. So what you're gonna notice here is when you're clicking on the roads that the zoning disappears when you're on the queue wall. So what's good is if you see the zoning disappear, that means when you remove the dirt, a queue wall will render. Now, if you make a mistake like I just did there, I put it on the wrong side, you simply right click and click the side that you want it to be a queue wall. So overall, this is going to be a very clean look. Everything's going to be very straightforward, and I think you're going to overall like what exactly comes of it. And yeah, all these alleys, I just wish, you know what? I wish we had a queue wall, honestly. I honestly do wish we had it. All right, so what we'll do next is I'm gonna start to speed this up. We're gonna clean up the queue walls and we're gonna remove the dirt that honestly just is along those queue walls. Now, ooh, so just be careful. I think based on what I'm doing right now, obviously this is a fast forward rendering of me actually doing it, but be careful, you know, don't rush. I think I was sort of rushing when I was doing this and removing the dirt, because you can see here, you can easily remove the dirt on the wrong side. So just be careful. And again, look at those, look at the queue wall, very clean edges. So it's just giving off a really, really nice look. And we're gonna do this around our entire harbor, not just the cargo harbor, but around everything else for the most part, within reason. Within reason, we're gonna do it. But you can see here, I just fast forward it. You didn't need to see me struggle. And look at that, very clean and awesome look for the cargo harbor. So now we have the cargo harbor it's looking exactly the way we want it to look. What we need to add next is what's called the seaway. So I'm going to add a medium seaway for both cargo harbors. The reason behind that is because the seaways have boats, I guess in general, ferries or cargo ships. It enables them to go in and out of the ports or the cargo terminals themselves without crashing into another boat. So this way we can have technically four, since we have 2 cargo harbors, we can have 4 cargo ships at one given time, and they won't bump into each other, which is absolutely fantastic. So next, obviously this is a cargo terminal and a cargo harbor, so why not add industry? The reason why we're around, the reason why we added these cargo terminals or the cargo harbors is because we want to get goods in and out of our city as fast as possible. And by adding more industry, that can never hurt. And obviously we have a demand for it, so that never hurt. And earlier in the video, we also got rid of a lot of industry to create this port. So next, we have a disclaimer. Part of my build, the recording disappeared. So here's a part of the build. I did add a ferry line and a ferry terminal with a little bit of commercial and a little bit of path. So this is just some of the detailing from what was created. And it's very sad when you lose something you recorded. So I apologize for all this, but I think this ferry area turned out amazing. This part of my build was supposed to be like the entertainment district where people can come in, have a drink, go for a walk. I did add a tourist attraction also, which I'll go through at the very end, just the recap of everything. But that's how it turned out. Like, everything looks really good. So now we have that ferry line in place. We have a little bit of commercial in place. What we need to do next is, if you saw on the screen in front of you, that was the city of Chicago. So Chicago has what's called the Navy Pier. The Navy Pier has a lot of entertainment, restaurants. It has a Ferris wheel, has a museum, and a few other things like that. Then also Chicago used some of these older piers and they repurposed them for residential and commercial zoning. So what I want to do with this part of the build is I kind of want to recreate that part in like just adding a Chicago style pier, because you know what? We're reclaiming this river. We're using it for, purposes of people living and commercial businesses and stuff like that. So I figured, why not, take a page out of Chicago's playbook and basically try to replicate what they do. So what I already did on the screen in front of you is I'm adding those same piers. So if you watched my last video, obviously you saw that I added tourism and I added these piers. So what I'm going to do, I'm doing that for a second time, which for this build and this harbor in place, I think it fits what we're looking for. We just built a cargo harbor. We now have ferries. We have pretty much everything we need, and just keep adding onto it and reclaiming the land. So we have, what I'm doing next is I'm trying to add to the road layout itself. Obviously, I disconnected some of our residential zoning, but what I'm trying to do next is connect up all of those piers together on that medium-sized road, just so that traffic-wise, we'll be able to handle the additional residents. There's going to be a lot of residents in this area, and there's going to be a lot of traffic. So we're just expanding out this medium-sized road. We're trying to get it to look pretty decent. We're trying to hit the middle of between the highway and the actual piers themselves. And I think we did a pretty good job. And we're going to now just kind of fill in the blanks and connect everything up. So you can see here, I have a 180-degree angle, and I'm just going straight up. 180, 180, just making sure everything pier-wise is straight and uniform. Honestly, it looks pretty good so far. Like, it's pretty easy. Here's a trick. When creating piers, do not remove the soil around the piers until you have all of your roads in place. So like right now, I have to get rid of the soil that's around all of the piers, but like right now it makes life way easier to create roads, and it doesn't mess with any of the nodes. So right here, I'm just creating a simple grid, and we're gonna fill this in with we have a few different options to fill things in. And just, what are we gonna do though? That's the question. So obviously I mentioned Chicago. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna have residential, we're gonna have commercial in this area, and we're gonna have some parks, and we're gonna have a tourist attraction. I feel like adding all of those will be very, very nice and attract people to this part of our city and the suburbs. And obviously you can hang out and take the ferry for $8 to our downtown. Now the ferry ride might take forever, but you know, that's to each their own. So what we're doing next is I'm moving over our main arterial road, and we are going to add the last pier itself. Now the last pier itself, this is going to be mainly a tourist stop. And what I mean by that is you're going to see here that I'm going to add one of the Cities Skylines to tourist attractions. But again, we're just trying to make that pier. I'm going to fast forward this. You guys don't need to see me do it for a third time. Okay, so now that we have all of our piers in place, let's just go through fast forward and try to, as quickly as possible, add residential and add all of our zoning. And there we go. You can see here we're adding the medium. So I chose the medium style building because the picture I looked at of Chicago, they were taller buildings. It wasn't low density. So I'm adding the medium buildings, then I'm adding some mixed use buildings. So then this way, hey, we have restaurants and stuff like that. People have things to do in this area and they're not going to be bored out of their mind. Basically, they have entertainment. That's all I'm trying to get at. So then you're going to see here, I am adding a couple plaza parks, which, you know what, they turned out nice. They fit actually really perfectly. Then we're going to add in some commercial and just keep filling in this area. Obviously, paths are our way of detailing in City Skylines too. And that's pretty much, you know, that's all we can do is add paths and trees so far in City Skylines 2. So we've pretty much added all of our zoning. I mean, we have more zoning to go, but next I want to show you that we are lifting up the soil to make it a light blue color. So that means we're not as deep as the other part of the ocean. And I like that light blue glow. It looks really, really sharp. Now, what I mentioned to you before is I wanted to add a tourist attraction, and I wanted to add the bronze statue to the very end of this pier. Remember, it's tourism here. You know, we want to bring people here to visit and use the ferries and come from the city and go for a walk and use our parks. Well, this is one way to do it. So what I added was the bronze statue. Honestly, I wish, I'm going to just go off my script, but what I wish would happen with City Skylines 2 tourist attractions, I want to see people. There's not enough people. But anyways, I digress. There's not enough, you don't see enough people walking around your tourist areas. I think that's all that I have a problem with in City Skylines 2. So what I want to do next is I want to add a road crossing over, you know, part of the grid. And what I'll do next is trying to figure out, okay, I want to add that large plaza. Okay. But then we have the smaller city park and we're like, you know what? Does that actually work on both sides? Yep, it looks pretty good. But what we'll do is we're going to edit this and use anarchy to kind of make it a little bit better working and just a little bit nicer looking. So we're eventually going to add paths, I promise you. Now, next, we wanted a place to park because remember, we just built the Statue of Liberty, aka the bronze statue in City Skylines 2, which is a tourist attraction. So obviously people are going to need places to park. Now, hey, if they take the ferry, you could honestly easily walk. That's why we have all those paths. We want it to be very walkable. Wow. Anyways, all right. So we've started our tourist attraction. Now, what we need to do next is use anarchy. And what I wanted to do over here is just make a makeshift park that just looks cool. And obviously they can't use it. You know, people can't, I mean, they could walk on it, but it's not like in City Skylines 1 where there'd be guests. All I wanted to do though was I wanted just to add paths and add trees around it and bushes and stuff like that. I didn't want to add any trees on top of it. I just like the basic look of it. I think it looked really nice just by leaving it like that. It looked really good. Like, I think that's cool. And just add trees on the side and just leave that middle area blank. Honestly, I think that worked great. So the prop line tool, big fan of. All right, guys. So here is the final end result of our piers. As you can see here, we have a working cargo harbor, and then we also have a passenger ferry line. So let's get into exactly what we did. So here's a cargo ship. Wow. It is bringing 959 tons of goods out of 1,000 to our city. Wow, that's a lot of goods. That is a ton of goods. Then we have another ship coming in with 53.45 tons. Wow, well, I guess it's not an exact science. Anyways, here is the cargo harbor number 1. We'll click on it. We do have 2 shipping lines, and you can see here we have 2,619 tons of goods stored. All right, we have every type of good imaginable stored there, which is fantastic. So that means all of our goods from our industrial area are oh my God. Wow, so trucks are literally coming from the cargo train station storage area to our cargo harbor. Wow, okay, so, wow. That, I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not see that coming. Wow. Okay, so that works. So, hey, that's exactly why we built those cargo harbors. We wanted to alleviate the cargo train station, and that's what we're doing. So here's cargo harbor number 2. We are making, you know, basically the same products and stuff like that. And all of our cargo lines were intact and everything so far looking a-okay. And why is it so wide? If you've skipped ahead, why is it so wide? Well, we used a medium seaway in order to connect up these lines so that cargo ships can come in and out of our cargo harbor without bumping into each other. Now, if you watch the whole video, oh, there we go. We have 2 cargo ships coming in at the same time. See, that is exactly why we did it. So they're gonna crash. No, they're not gonna crash, but that's exactly my point using the medium seaway. If we only had the single lane one, well, we would only be able to have 1 ship come in and out at one time. So there you go. There's our queue walls. Everything looks really, 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 really sharp. Now, here's part of the build that you did not see because all of my recording for it, well, it didn't record. So anyways, here is the ferry. What? Cities Skylines. What in the world? That is a great parking job by our ferry line. Wow. Yikes. Anyways, here's our ferry line. You can see here we have, well, 0 passengers waiting. Well, that's not good, but we have 1 ship line that is going from our harbor area to, well, basically this is our riverfront harbor to our downtown harbor. And ooh, we have crime here. Ooh, crime at the ferry port. Wow. Whew. Anyways, yeah, so anyways, 56 people. All right, so there's people coming and going to that area. So like I wanted to show you, this is where all of our boats are going essentially. They're going downtown. For $8, you could take a cool ferry ride and go downtown from our suburbs. I think that's actually really cool. And that's really cheap. In 2024, that would not happen. Anyways, there you go, 66. Anyway, so there you go. We have, oh, it's $5. Oh, we have 390 people total on the line itself. Okay, so people are using the ferries essentially. That's good. We have 4 boats. I don't think we need all 4 of them, but whatever, it will be fine. So next, we do have a bus station and parking. The bus lines, we do have a couple bus lines in place. Bus line 20 and bus line 12, we have brought over from our downtown area for people to come and go. So we're giving multiple options. We do also have taxi stands around here as well. I did add some commercial buildings, but right here, I also needed to remember, I needed to have some of our service buildings. So I had a medic and a fire station so that, you know, obviously our residents will be okay and have those services around and they won't complain about it. So yeah, here's our little shopping area around our ferries. This is exactly why we wanted the ferry lines and shopping. We want to give people a reason to actually use the ferry lines from our downtown. And you can see over here is our tourist attraction that we use, Cities Skylines 2 Tourism. I do not know how to pronounce this, but it is a fortress wall in Seoul, South Korea. I think it looks awesome with all the trees and all the bushes and just making it a very walkable, very cool area to visit. I think it actually works great because with the queue walls and the wall itself in the middle, it looks absolutely amazing. Like, it's such a, look at, see, so if you see, there is the wall itself. And think about it, we have queue walls around it. It just kind of fits. It fits what we're trying to do. Very cool building. Again, I wish more people would be like walking around it and using it. And here is the outer part of the harbor itself. This little amount of land out there, there's more commercial, and then I did add a TV. Usually there's like a light tower, but we don't have a light tower in Cities Skylines 2, so the the TV radio mast is what we decided to go with. But I added that little outlet just so waves don't destroy the ferries and kind of like get in the way. So that's kind of protecting it from all the waves and the inlets and stuff like that. So next, let's get into the Chicago part of our build. So remember, I told you we added medium-sized buildings and mixed-use commercial and residential, and look how cool these look. So we basically repurposed these piers from, you know, back in the day, these piers were used for industry, like we did for our other cargo harbors. And you know, in 2024, a lot of these piers no longer exist, and they no longer exist, or they're repurposed in this way. As you can see there, I added more commercial, more parks, and more entertainment. And the queue walls, like the way the queue walls just work, they look amazing. And obviously the roads on top of that, so it just helps with traffic and helps everything just look really, really nice. I do like the parks. I do like the lines of the bushes and the trees and whatnot. The detailing definitely helped in this situation. Overall, a very nice look. And now finally our tourism. And there is the Statue of Liberty, aka the bronze statue. You have a really nice view of our downtown area and all the high rent that's out there. But overall, I think it's cool because it kind of keeps an eye, you know, it's kind of like the Statue of Liberty in New York City. All the boats must pass it in order to get to our cargo harbor or even get to our downtown. So I thought that was a pretty nice touch. Really cool. And I do like the fact that I did not add an actual park. I just added those roads, and I just like that cool design. I don't know what it is. It looks cool without adding trees there. I don't know, that's my opinion. So please let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like button if you like this overall build. There's some parking, which is awesome, but I feel like this outer harbor, like I added more residential, I had medium-sized buildings, I added a path behind it. I feel like this overall build turned out really, really nicely, especially with the path in back. Like that filled in the part next to the highway really nicely with the medium-sized row house building. So guys, let me know in the comment section below. Did you like this build? Did you hate it? Was it corny? You know, do you think it actually fit what Cities Skylines is all about and just added to my city? I think it looks fantastic. Thank you very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.